Former President Biden is out with his first interview since leaving the White House, and it's with a British outlet, the BBC. He jumped at the chance to attack President Trump.
What did you make of those scenes in the Oval Office? President Trump and President Zelenskyy.
I found it sort of beneath America, the way that took place. And the way we talk about now that, well, it's just the Gulf of America. Maybe we're going to have to take back Panama. Maybe we need to acquire Greenland. Maybe Canada should be. What the hell's going on here?
President Trump is now saying, look, if you want peace, Ukraine is going to have to give up some territory. Some people think that is common sense to say that. Do you think it's not common sense? It's perhaps modern-day appeasement?
It is modern-day appeasement.
Do you think he's behaving more like a monarch than a president?
Oh, I'd rather not comment. I'm not sure how he's behaving. He's not behaving like a Republican president.
You know, Kayleigh, the word that sticks out to me is modern-day appeasement. And the headline that sticks out to me is this headline. We'll pull it up. Joe Biden has given Vladimir Putin a huge win on the Nord Stream 2 pipeline. Notably, you have Putin, who went into Georgia under Bush, Crimea under Obama, Ukraine under Biden. He skipped a president. His name was Trump.
Yeah, and what are those questions? They're so loaded from the first place, all with the design of making Trump out to be the bad guy. First of all, I don't think anyone is interested in Joe Biden's foreign policy advice. The past 4 years of his presidency were an abject failure on every single front on the global stage. What Trump is doing is now he's going in to try and clean up the messes that Joe Biden created, including in Ukraine, by the way. Donald Trump has been pretty emphatic that he does not believe Russia would have invaded Ukraine had he been president and not Joe Biden. And I think most Americans would agree with that, which is why they put Donald Trump back in the White House. But on everything from Afghanistan to Ukraine to Israel, Joe Biden's legacy is one of complete failure. No one misses him. No one is waiting for his advice, so he should just keep it and save it.
Well, he says his legacy was one of so much success that it made it so difficult for him to step away because of all the successes. Listen.
Did you leave it too late? Should you have withdrawn earlier, given someone else a bigger chance?
I don't think it would have mattered. And become so successful on our agenda, it was hard to say, no, I'm going to stop now. Things moved so quickly that it made it difficult to walk away. It was a hard decision, but
regrets though?
No, I think it was the right decision. I think that well, it was just a difficult decision.
Bill, when he says it was so much success, it made it hard to step away, the flashing going in my mind were the headlines from places like CNN, the lowest approval rating since Jimmy Carter or before that.
Yeah, I take that we become so successful, how am I going to stop now? He also said that she was fully funded. I think that's loaded. I mean, it's almost like I handed you the keys to a lot of opportunity here. And then he went on to say that she went out and raised an additional $1 billion, a ton of money, as we know, $1.5 billion for Kamala Harris's campaign. I think in the spirit of the Pope today that Benedict knew when to quit, right? He knew when to retire. He knew when to step aside. Biden was pushed. He was talked into it. It took him a while, but he came around to it. About 3.5 weeks, I think, based on the calendar he described. He's going to talk more. I think he's going on The View.
Yes, that's right.
So who knows which way that thing goes, but we'll be here to watch it.
We'll have a lot of fans there. Emily, you know, when he says it wouldn't have mattered, I do agree with him. I think this was Trump's election. He had the movement. He was going to win no matter what. But it certainly would have made the Democrats more formidable had they had a primary, had someone like Gavin Newsom, who's quick on his feet, had a shot, or others than just coronating someone in July.
Yeah, but you're applying logic to something that really had none, that lacked common sense the entire time. Look, you guys, this is someone who had to go across the pond to find a favorable news outlet because while he was president, he had the mainstream media that was serving up on a platter that he was cogent and successful and effective. And the reality is that he was anything but. Who he has to answer to is the American people who resoundingly voted him out of office in November. That's what the American people have to say about this presidency. So he can go to BBC all he wants and try to explain away things and talk about the current president. But at the end of the day, I think that the results and the points speak exactly for themselves. The $1.5 billion failure of a candidacy was in part owned by that person and also Kamala Harris. But no amount of media coverage will influence whatsoever his tainted legacy, in my opinion, including the multiple deaths of the American people that we won't forget, even though he tries.
You know, and Kamala Harris, there's been a lot of reporting out there. While, you know, she was very loyal to her boss, to President Joe Biden, but there has been reporting that some on her team felt like they drew the short straw, that they weren't given this big runway to define herself. They were given this punctuated campaign and expected to go out and have
I'm sorry, you don't get a woe with me with $1 billion. I'm sorry. Yeah. You have that kind of money. There should be no...
106 days, I think it was.
Yeah, I mean, you had the upper hand here. And you had the bully pulpit because you had been in the White House for the previous years. I had two immediate thoughts when I started watching parts of this interview. One was the American people. Thank you. You got it right. Can you imagine him president now? He couldn't even get through that interview. At one point, he took such a long pause, I thought he was asleep. I'm not kidding. We shared a look, Kaylee. We looked across the couch. What's going on with this guy? American people got this right. It should not have been him. The other thought was, how angry is he about all these books that keep dropping with people saying how bad he was behind the scenes as much as 2 years ago? I mean, I guess that's what has you doing a press junket that doesn't look like it's junket. Like, I don't know how he does more than one of these. You said the next one is on The View. Like, normally these are staccato and you're taking on what people have said. Can you imagine him taking on real-time quotes from the books? I don't see it. I mean, this is stressful for him.
I cannot wait for those hard-hitting questions on The View about his mental acuity. Right, they are not coming, so don't hold your breath.
Hey everyone, I'm Emily Campagno. Catch me and my co-hosts Harris Faulkner and Kaylee McEnany on Outnumbered every weekday at 12 p.m. Eastern, or set your DVR. Also, don't forget to subscribe to the Fox News YouTube page for daily highlights.